You ever wake up at 3 a.m. because something the size of a small lion just body slammed your chest and then had the audacity to purr like you're the problem? Yeah, Maine Coon owners, this is your life now. But here's the thing most people get wrong. Your Maine Coon isn't just a big, fluffy, slightly chaotic cat. But the truth is, they're operating on a completely different emotional system than most cats. And if you miss it, you'll completely misunderstand what they actually love. And some of these, they're so subtle, you've probably been ignoring them for years. So let's break down the 7 things Maine Coon cats secretly love and why they're nothing like normal cat behaviors. 1. Being near you, but not on you. Let's start with something confusing. Your Maine Coon follows you everywhere. Bathroom? Yes. Kitchen? Obviously. Emotionally vulnerable moment at 2 a.m. Front row seat. But when you try to cuddle them, they suddenly become a distant philosopher. Why? Because Maine Coons don't crave contact the way other cats do. They crave proximity with control. The real question is, why do they want to be near you but not that near? Here's where it gets interesting. And a behavioral study from American Association of Feline Practitioners highlights that cats with higher confidence levels prefer social closeness without restraint, which means your Maine Coon isn't rejecting you, they're choosing you, just from a respectful 2-foot distance, like a polite introvert. And this becomes important later, because this same trait explains something much deeper about their loyalty. 2. High places that make them feel like royalty. You bought them a bed. They chose the top of your fridge. Of course they did. Maine Coons are obsessed with vertical territory, but not just for fun. It's about control, safety, and observation. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how they sit up high and just watch? Not blinking, not moving, just judging you for eating cereal at 11 p.m. Why do they do this? Environmental enrichment research consistently shows that access to vertical space significantly reduces feline stress and increases confidence, especially in large active breeds. But here's the deeper meaning. Your Maine Coon doesn't just want to feel safe. They want to feel in charge of the environment you both share. That shelf, that cabinet, that suspiciously unstable curtain rod, that's not furniture, that's their kingdom. And what happens when they don't have this? We'll get to that later because it connects directly to a behavior most owners completely misread. 3. Water, in ways that make zero sense. Most cats hate water. Maine Coons? They look at water like it's a personality trait. Drinking from the bowl? Boring. Dipping their paw first? Essential. Knocking over the entire bowl? Character development. So what's going on here? Why are Maine Coons weirdly fascinated with water? The answer goes back to their origins. Maine Coons evolved in cold, wet climates, and their semi-water-resistant fur made them more adaptable to damp environments. But here's the twist. It's not just instinct, it's stimulation. A 2020 Feline Behavior Review in Applied Animal Behavior Science noted that cats engage more with moving or interactive water sources because it triggers their hunting curiosity. Which means when your Maine Coon is splashing water like a toddler who just discovered chaos, they're not being annoying, they're being mentally engaged. Also, let's be honest, they know you'll come running when you hear the splash. Attention achieved, mission accomplished. 4. Talking to you like you're a roommate. If your Maine Coon doesn't talk to you, check again. They do. Just not like other cats. Instead of loud meows, Maine Coons use chirps, trills, and weird little squeaks that sound like a bird learned English halfway through. The real question is, why do they sound like that? And why does it feel like they're trying to have a conversation? Here's the science layer. Research on feline vocalization suggests that domestic cats modify their sounds specifically for human interaction, essentially developing a language that gets attention faster. But Maine Coons take it further. They don't just vocalize, they respond. You say something, They chirp back. You move rooms, they comment on it. You sneeze? Suddenly, it's a full discussion. And this is where it gets deeper. Your Maine Coon isn't just communicating needs, they're maintaining a social bond, which is why ignoring those little sounds feels like ignoring a friend mid-conversation. And trust me, they take that personally. 5. Playing like a dog, but with zero respect for your furniture. You thought you were getting a cat. You accidentally adopted a fluffy athlete. Maine Coons love interactive play, but not the lazy kind. We're talking running, chasing, fetching. Yes, fetching, don't act surprised. But here's the part most people miss. They don't just love play, they love structured interaction with you. Why? Because Maine Coons are one of the most socially dependent cat breeds. A study on human-animal bonding published in Animal Cognition found that certain breeds, especially highly social ones, show increased engagement when play involves direct human participation. Which means your Maine Coon isn't just chasing the toy, they're engaging with you. And when you don't play with them, they improvise. Your curtains, your cables, that one thing you said don't touch. Yeah, that thing is gone. And this leads directly to something owners completely underestimate. 6. Routine. More than you realize. Let's be honest. You think your Maine Coon is chaotic. Random zoomies, sudden energy bursts, moments of pure nonsense. But here's the truth. They secretly love routine. Feeding time? Same minute. Playtime? Expected. Sleep spots? Strategically consistent. The real question is, why does a cat that acts unpredictable crave predictability? A 2019 study in animal welfare found that cats thrive in environments with consistent routines, showing lower stress levels and more stable behavior patterns. And for Maine Coons, this matters even more. Because their intelligence makes them pattern-aware. They notice changes. They remember timing. They expect consistency. So when you suddenly change something, like feeding them late, they don't just get annoyed, they get dramatic. And by dramatic, I mean sitting in front of you, staring into your soul like you've betrayed a sacred agreement. And honestly, you did. 7. Quiet loyalty. That doesn't look like affection. This is the one most people miss because it doesn't look like love. There are no constant cuddles, no desperate attention-seeking, no clingy behavior. Instead, they just stay. Same room, same presence, same quiet watch. And you might think, are they even that attached to me? But here's the truth. Maine Coons don't show love loudly. They show it consistently. A behavioral analysis from International Society of Feline Medicine suggests that cats form attachment bonds similar to secure relationships, expressed through proximity and relaxed presence, not constant interaction. Which means your Maine Coon lying nearby doing absolutely nothing is actually one of the strongest signs of trust. They're not bored, they're not indifferent. They feel safe enough to just exist with you. And that's rare. If you want more of this, subscribe, because there's a lot more about Maine Coons that nobody talks about. So now, let me ask you something. What happens if your Maine Coon suddenly stops doing these things? Stops following you, stops chirping, stops sitting nearby? That's not just a mood change, that's a signal. Because everything we talked about today, it's not random behavior, it's emotional language. And when that language changes, something deeper is going on. So pay attention, not just to what your Maine Coon does, but to what they stop doing. And now, I'm curious. Which one of these does your Maine Coon do the most? The water chaos, the midnight conversations, or the silent emotional support stare that feels slightly judgmental? Drop it in the comments, because let's be honest, no one understands Maine Coons better than the people living with these fluffy masterminds.